In the final hours of the year 2000, a crime went down in Tokyo that has become one of the most baffling cases in modern history. Its official name is long, but everyone knows it as the Setagaya family murder. And it's a story that's just full of chilling contradictions, one that has kept everyone guessing for over 20 years. And this, right here, is the absolute heart of the mystery. The killer left a mountain of evidence. I mean, it's like he left a full-body portrait of himself for the police to find. But even with all that, his identity, his motive, and where he is today, totally unknown. A complete ghost.
So, to really get why this case feels so impossible to solve, we need to go back and understand the awful tragedy that unfolded that night.
The victims were the Miyazawa family. A dad who was 44, a mom who was 41, their bright 8-year-old daughter, and their little 6-year-old son. Just a normal, happy family with their whole lives ahead of them, murdered in the one place they should have been safe, their own home. Police think the attack happened around 11:30 at night on December 30th. But the horror, it didn't stop there. After the murders, the killer didn't just run. No, he stayed. We know from the family's computer logs that he was still in the house at 1:18 in the morning, and he might have hung around for almost 10 hours before he finally left. And what the killer did during those hours, well, this is where the case goes from being just a horrible tragedy to something deeply, deeply bizarre. He literally made himself at home.
I mean, the nerve of this guy, it is just off the charts. He used the family's first aid kit to bandage a cut on his own hand that he got during the attack. He raided their fridge, eating melon, ham, and get this, 4 tubs of ice cream, which he squeezed out of the cups to eat without a spoon. He used their computer, not to wipe it, but to browse websites and even try to book tickets to a show. He sorted through their papers, and then he took a nap on their living room sofa. Just unbelievable.
So yeah, this wasn't some panicked guy fleeing the scene. This was a calm, calculated, and just profoundly disturbing occupation of the house. It's a kind of behavior that has left psychologists and investigators scratching their heads for years. And while he was there just hanging out, this killer left behind an absolute treasure trove of physical evidence. So much, in fact, that it almost feels like he was daring the police to come and find him. He actually changed his clothes, leaving his old outfit behind. A black Uniqlo jacket, a gray and purple sweater, and a hat. Now, what's wild is how specific these items are. Take the sweater, for example. Only 130 of them were ever sold in the entire country, and just 10 of them were sold anywhere in Tokyo. 10. The puzzle gets even more international when you look at his shoes. The footprints he left behind were from a model of Slazenger sneakers that were made and sold in South Korea. The specific size matches a Korean size 280. And the key thing here is they were never officially sold in Japan. So that right away raises some big questions about the killer's background. He also left his hip bag behind. And inside, investigators found what you could call a microscopic travel diary. There was sand from the Miura Peninsula in Japan, which is a popular beach area. But then, incredibly, there was also sand that matched the Mojave Desert near Edwards Air Force Base in California. This points to someone who spent time in some very specific, very different parts of the world. This guy came prepared. He brought his own sashimi knife, but the blade actually broke during the attack. But that didn't stop him. He simply went into the family's kitchen, grabbed one of their knives, and kept going. That shows a terrifying level of determination and cold-blooded improvisation. He left over a dozen clear fingerprints all over the house, but they've never matched anyone in any criminal database anywhere. One thumbprint even has this really rare pattern that's been described as looking like a pig's nose. All of this points to one thing. He probably didn't have a criminal record before this. So you take all these clues, and what you get is the police being able to build this remarkably detailed profile of a man who, on paper, should have been easy to find. Okay, so based on the clothes he left behind and how he broke in, police figure he's about 170 centimeters tall, which is around 5'7". And the details just keep piling up. We know his blood is type A, he's right-handed, he had a slim but athletic build, he had to scale a fence and climb into a second-story window. And since he didn't touch the beer in the fridge, it's pretty likely he's a non-drinker. But honestly, the most mind-blowing clue of all came from his DNA. His father's line, the Y chromosome, is pretty common all across East Asia. But his mother's line, his mitochondrial DNA, traces back to a European population, specifically from around the Mediterranean or Adriatic Sea. That means an ancestor on his mother's side was European. A genetic mix like that is incredibly rare in Japan. For the longest time, everyone thought they were looking for a young guy, maybe between 15 and 29, just based on his agility and the style of his clothes. But recently, new DNA technology, this thing called methylation analysis, suggested something completely different. It turns out the killer might have actually been older when he did this, maybe even in his 30s.
So you've got all of this DNA, fingerprints, clothes, a super detailed physical profile, and yet, after all these years, the ghost remains a ghost.
And make no mistake, they are still trying to solve this. The reward for any information that leads to an arrest is now at 20 million yen. That's about 130,000 US dollars.
The impact of this case goes way beyond just the investigation. The horror of the Setagaya murders was so huge that it literally changed the law in Japan. In 2010, the country got rid of the statute of limitations for murder, and this case was a big reason why. It ensures that this killer and any others like him can never just wait out the clock to get away with it.
And so the question remains. The killer is still out there. A man with European ancestry, a connection to both California and Korea, a one-of-a-kind fingerprint, and a thing for Uniqlo jackets. All the clues are on the table, just waiting for that one final piece of the puzzle to connect them all, and finally put a face to the ghost of Setagaya.